Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Hibiscus or Edmund Hibiscus or Yagyuu Hibiscus or whatever you want to call me with. You're currently listening to my podcast, which is episode 9 and 10th video of Hibiscus Cafe Break. From the last episode, I talked with Ali, which we had a masterclass of talking about Aizuki Hikaru-san or also Ai-chan, and today in this episode we will continue to be talking about her last show in Takarazuka and her post-Takarazuka career. I have Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. If you haven't followed, I suggest that you do if you want to have more Yuzukure content, which my handle is YUZUKAHIBISCUS. I also have a public Twitter account which is Updates of Ray, which updates text and links related news of Ray, which you can find on UPDATESOFREI. Also subscribe to my channel and like my video if you like this episode. Please note that the name Hibiscus Cafe Break is with due respect to the original show Takarazuka Cafe Break, and this is a fan-made podcast with no intention of receiving commercial revenue, rather to promote Takarazuka review in a casual and informal manner. I do not own any of the resources that may be featured, and any mentions of the shows or seto are subject to copyright from Hankyo Railway, Takarazuka Review, and Takarazuka Creative Arts Publications. Without further ado, let the podcast begin.
And yes, we're actually going to go right into it now. Yagyuu Scrolls and also more Dandism is like the last Takarazuka performance of Ai-chan, which the Senshuraku is around like December 2021. So let's talk about the musical itself first, Yagyuu Scrolls. It's a very interesting show. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, yes, Ai-chan did play a character with like two roles and totally different styles also. So yes, you could elaborate more on that possibly.
Yeah, okay. To preface this, Yagyuu is a very controversial show where a lot of people don't like it, but it's actually probably my number one favorite Takarazuka show of all time, which is crazy to say out loud. But Ai-chan just had such an interesting role in the show. It's not like she had the most stage time ever. Like this was definitely not one of those shows, but she did get to play two different people. And there was also this cool thing they did with Naisora Hitomi, the top musume, where her character requires her sometimes to speak in time with Ai-chan's voice as well. So they're both speaking at the same time. And obviously it's a voiceover, but I think it was so cool that their two characters were both father and daughter, and they got to do that thing that kind of it's like I never really heard that in any really like Zuko productions. So just seeing Hiton kind of exercise her acting chops a bit and do that is just so impressive. And also just so cool that I could hear Ai-chan's voice and Hiton's at the same time. And it just fits so well. I was so surprised. It's just I love this show, but I know it's not for everyone, but I love it.
Some of the comments I heard why they may not like this show is possibly, well, at least for my first impression, okay, maybe at first it obviously isn't the romance interest show at all. And also, secondly, it's because it's not a romance interest show, but there was actually this implied affection between Rei Makoto's role and Maizari Hitomi's role. So that for some people was not really executed too well, and that's why they don't like the show. So if you have to be the attorney for the show, apart from the love line, what do you think people should notice more about Yagyuu Scrolls? Like the plot, the story, like the getaway, what is it?
Yeah. So I think if you kind of look back from the whole like romance subplot, it really is an interesting story, sort of about, I'm not gonna claim it's feminist, but it is kind of about, girl power in which the main character, Yagyuu Jube, he's not there to like find a wife. He's not there to get money. He's just there to train some woman to kill a bunch of men who kidnap their fathers, which is very baseline what the story is about. And his whole attitude towards it, he never once like maliciously insults the woman. He always is encouraging them. He even goes as far as to follow the rules set about for him, which is he cannot kill any of the woman's enemies. It always has to be the woman who killed them. He cannot help. He just needs to teach them how to do it. And I think that's great that you don't really see often in shonen manga, which is what the show was based off, a shonen manga. And sort of to kind of defend the romance subplot a bit, I think you can read it both as romance and admiration. Um, and the sort of suddenness of the subplot in this show is pretty similar actually to the manga. It is supposed to be sudden, just given Maisoro Hitomi's character and personality. So if you do watch the show, I implore you to keep an open mind about it because although it is Takarazuka, like not everything has to be romance, you know? So I enjoyed it personally.
Nice. Actually, after this, there was the review, which is more dandyism, and the dandyism I'll call it a series because the first one was done by Mayamiki, and then later on, I think there was new dandyism followed by more dandyism, and this was done by Star True, and the review is very colorful, many interesting costumes, and also a lot of Takarazuka classical scenes into it. Especially there was a scene where it was a tribute to like this being her last show in Takarazuka review, which is allowing her to wear the military uniform, and even some lyrics hinting like the Soragumi and Hoshigumi. So, what do you think this particular scene would mean to her, or how do you feel when you watch that scene?
Mm, it is really an emotional scene, even despite it not technically being a part of her sayonara show as well. Just because I think Soragumi to Ai-chan really meant a lot to her. And she stated in the past that she never even thought that a transfer would even happen just because she loved Soragumi so much. She couldn't even bear to be away from them. But I also think transferring just gave her more character, gave her more maturity. Because it is something that happens. It's not like you can stop it. I mean, what are you gonna do? Are you the producers? But um, it probably did mean a lot to her, and I know she loves both Sorogumi and Hoshigumi, in totally different but like positive ways. So just having a song that I guess can accumulate those feelings and sort of say what can't be said, it's just a great moment, and I'm so glad they gave that to her in her last ever review because she meant a lot to Zuka, and she was in so many iconic performances. Like it's only a given that they do that for her.
And yes, you also mentioned the Sayonara show because for Nibantes, Top Musumiyakus, and Top Stars, we'll have a Sayonara show after the review. And the Sayonara show is around 20 minutes, but also included, obviously, her journey of Takarazuka from Soragumi, Hoshigumi, and even actually a performance that she always aspired to do, but actually never did in Takarazuka review, which is Mayerling. And she did the prologue scene with Maisara Hitomi as Mari and herself as Rudolph. So how was that scene for you? Because it was quite interesting to see that not just in the Sayonara show, if I remember in the 2019 Takarazuka specials, they also actually have this scene, but it was 4 years later. How did you think this scene was? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy if you just read Ai-chan's bio, it's like, oh, she likes Marilyn, that's pretty cool. But then you realize she put it in her photo book. She did it in a Takarazuka special, and then she put it in her Sayonara show again. It's like her love, and then she also talks about it as an OG, but her love for this show is really just it's just so cute. I have no other words for it. It's just very cute. And her when she did it in her sayonara show, I think she really improved on it as well. When she did the special, I was like, okay, she's kind of like getting a feel for it. But during her sayonara show, I really think this was the moment where she was like, this is my last chance to kind of do the thing I'm passionate about the most and show, the world this side of me. Because Rudolph is such a weird, unique character. Like, I don't know really what to say about him. You kind of just have to think about it yourself, but I'm glad she got to do it. And Dawn is such a cute Murray. Like very, very cute. And although technically in the in the musical they were father and daughter, I think they look cute as, Rudolph and Marie, but that's besides the point. It was very beautiful. And I low key always like listening to her version of the theme song from Marilyn because it's just so great. And I can like really tell that she loved the show just from the way she sings it. Yeah.
True. If I may add, like a very bad joke is yes, they play father and daughter, but also the dynamic of Rudolph and Mari, like the age difference. It definitely is
True,
concerning. So
true. That's
yes,
very true.
yes, yeah, that is it. So yeah, like the Sayonara show. After that, they have the classic ceremony. They go down the staircase, they wear their hakama, and yes, actually, you have the one of their troop members give you flowers, but also your dokise. And she found Serika Toa, which is the current Cosmos Troop top star. Congratulations. Yeah, to give her flowers. And
I mean, it's not a secret that Kiki and Ai-chan have always been close. I mean, they are dokyusei. And there are some like very cute photos of them on vacation with each other as students. But I think a lot of people were probably wondering, how the relationship might have changed, especially when Kiki was transferred from Hanagumi into Soragumi, and sort of not stole Ai-chan's Nibante position, but just kind of kept her at Sanbante even after Makaze Suzuho became top. Um, Obviously, we won't know for sure, like what kind of relationship happened after that. But I think they had such a strong friendship that even something like that didn't seem to change anything. And they were so like smiley and happy, especially when Ai-chan was graduating. And as an OG, Ai-chan has like talked about Kiki a lot. Like she even congratulated Kiki when she became top star of Cosmos, which is so sweet. And I just think their relationship is so pure. And I love seeing dokyusei, have fun with each other. I mean, when they were underclassmen, they also did like some editorials with each other. I think they did something for a magazine. I just forget which one, but it was really cute to see them in that, just being so young and so sort of like unknowing what they would become, but they would become very iconic otokoyaku. Yeah.
nice. So yeah, that comes to the time point where she has become an OG, and she has several appearances after she graduated from Takarazuka, such as Tamaki Ryo's concert, and also in Greatest Moment, which is an OG concert. So this was also the time where she's not an otokoyaku anymore. She has more freedom and also boundaries to like choose from fashion style wise. Do you think there was a massive change in that in terms of her otokoyaku and current fashion?
So I think currently, she still does dress, or at least her hair is still very short. I think recently she's got it cut again, so it would stay kind of at a shorter bob length. And for a while she didn't really even grow her hair out as well. So I think it was kind of like in those early time periods where she was unsure of whether or not she wanted to stay sort of more masculine or kind of lean into femininity a bit, which is totally fine. She does tend to wear very androgynous styles though, from what I observe. And in her past dinner show, actually on Christmas of 2022, she even like wore just a full-on suit and like sort of slicked back otokoyaku hair for her promotional shot. I wish I could show you guys, but I do have it next to me on my desk right now. Um, and I don't know. I really appreciate the fact that I think I'm very comfortable with her, gender expression and just like fashion and stuff like that because while she does wear feminine clothing, like pretty often sometimes actually, it still doesn't feel like she's uncomfortable or she's being forced. It does feel great. And especially when she does wear masculine clothing as well, it is something she likes. And I know she's talked about it a few times where she's like, oh, like, should I grow my hair out? Or like, oh, I wore this like long hair piece. Do you guys think it suits me? I'm glad she like feels comfortable enough talking to people about that because I mean, the road isn't necessarily paved for her just yet. And like I want to see what she does with the rest of her OG life in terms of style and what kind of roles, if she does pursue any musical roles that she wants to do in the future, considering right now her only OG role has been Otokoyaku as well.
So yeah, you mentioned even though after graduation, her first role is actually in otokoyaku, but if we look into it, the musical she is involved in is called Fantastics. And the character she plays is actually a man. Like the name is El Gallo, and it was actually a Western musical, and it has like previously all played by actors. So this was the time where, interestingly, the director gave a creative turn and decided to find Ai-chan to do this role. And that's why we would call it as an otokoyaku role, because previously it has been played by actors, but unfortunately this wasn't recorded. But from the limited clips we see, so what do you think was still so fascinating to watch about El Gallo?
I think honestly, Elga is such a perfect role for someone like Aichan, honestly. I she actually got to wear a mustache for like half the show, which is something she freaking loved. I know she talked about it a lot. And she honestly wore a lot of mustaches in Zuka as well, so it's probably very normal for her, but just sort of her interpretation and her sort of gender identity on stage during that performance was really great because it sort of brought this new kind of sense of masculinity to the stage that I personally don't think um like a cis man could do or could really think about in such like a nuanced way such as that. Um it was really great though, and especially the scenes in the show where Ai-chan is dueling the main character for kind of like the love of the female lead. It's so funny to watch because it's sort of like Ai-chan's character El Gallo being like, "I'm gonna show you what it truly means to be a man," but it's being played by a woman. I think that's a great scene. And there's also one scene where Aichan kisses the hand of the female lead. And obviously in Zuka, it's like you do the fake kisses, whatever. But this time she wasn't restricted by those rules. So she actually did kiss the female lead's hand, which made me go crazy personally, seeing the press photos. So that made me happy.
Yeah, true. And even though like we didn't get to see the whole performance, unfortunately, it was also seen in like articles or like even program notes that El Gallo is actually a character that, yes, like El Gallo interacts with different characters, because it's also interesting that her role is kind of like a storyteller, and there are things that she kind of meddles around with the events of the story. And to even mention that there are like interactions, as you said, like kissing the girl's hand or even dueling with a man, like those things, it would be interesting to see Ai-chan's presence, even though pensive sigh, we don't have the recording. But yeah, just the idea of it, it's just very cool for the limited audiences have been able to see it. I guess we can only report it now with ah, just pensive sigh. Like, yes, we have a special question because for every episode, if there was a guest, I would ask the previous guest to propose a question to my current guest, so which is you. So my previous guest is Maria from Southeast Asia, and her question is as follows. Hello, Ali. I know you're the second guest of this episode. I hope you had fun. Could you tell me when Ai-chan's gonna be back? Yeah, so this
That's a
joke is
great
because
question.
that's a great question. The joke is because there was a time where she was in hiatus, and also, well, Ali may want to share more because Ali's also like a member from like the Ai-chan club. So we have been joking around about this, about like her hiatus in like musical appearances. So yes, you can comment about that. When is Ai-chan coming back?
Oh yeah. To bring just a little more context to that joke, basically, so I am in Aichan's fan club, and I think the Fantastics was around either October or November of 2022. And after Aichan did her Christmas dinner show, it was just like radio silence for at least 4 or 5 months until pretty much like last month, so June. Aichan was like, "Oh, by the way, I'm gonna do like a concert or two with my buddies from Sonagumi." So that was great. Even though I will say I've always wanted Aichan to do more musicals. But I mean, if she's not comfortable doing it or she doesn't want to do it, that's totally fine because her doing more concerts just more activities in general is great. Although I am just slightly pensive about the fact that I'm living in Japan at the same time that Aichan is still not doing anything. So it's like the one time I'm here, sadly, she's not really performing. But it's okay because I'm just glad to see her, still being on stage.
And also on the day of this recording, which is July 11th, interestingly, we did manifest a new appearance, which is
Yes.
so Wow Yoka, she is a previous Cosmos Troop top star, and she's going to be having her 35th anniversary, I think it's debut 35th anniversary concert, and she has two guests, which is Seto Kazuya-san, an OG from Flower Troop, and also Aishan. So we did it.
We
So
did it,
are you
guys.
also looking forward to that show? Because it's interesting to see how Wow Yoka would be, well, yes, obviously a jokyusei, but also like a very big senpai of Soragumi.
Yeah.
Are you interested
Yeah.
to see their dynamic?
Yeah, honestly, it's gonna be so much more different compared to one of the other IGN concerts that's coming up, which is Asaka Manato's. Just because Yoka is such a huge senpai to Aichan, and I'm not sure if they were ever on the same stage together during Takarazuka. I know they shared a stage together as OGs, so possibly that is how they met. But I think it'll be interesting to see Ai-chan interact with her senpais just because usually, at least recently, Ai-chan was always looked up to as the senpai of Hoshigumi. So it'll be cool. It'll be great.
I do think it's interesting because from what I remember, Wow Yoka's taidan musicals Never Say Goodbye in 2006. So it
Mm,
might have been just like a year, like they just passed by each other. Because in
right.
2007, she was the debut performance in 2007. And then, yes, I think they had like the greatest moment as like their first OG stage. But I think she also did have like some positive remarks for Aishan, especially about like like her personality and also her character. Yes, in general, Aichan herself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm also interested to see how the concert would show be like.
Yeah.
So
I have some, wish, some hope to see Ai-chan do some sort of like more feminine, role during the concert. But we'll see. We'll see.
yeah. All right. I think it's almost towards the end of the podcast, but I just remembered, even though you said, oh, you're in Japan, you haven't seen Ai-chan, you did see Ai-chan, right? Like there was a poster or standing. You
Yeah.
want
Oh
to
my
talk
God.
about that? Yes.
Yeah, I like just a few days ago, I think 4 days ago, I went to Ichikawa, which is a city in Chiba Prefecture in Japan, which is where Ai-chan is from, by the way. And she's actually the tourism ambassador of Ichikawa-shi. So they in their city hall, they have this sort of like glass case and kind of just like this little corner of the room dedicated to Ai-chan. They have a bunch of her signed goods, which obviously I cannot buy. They're in a glass case. But they also have a life-size cardboard cutout of Ai-chan. So I just took a photo next to it. And then I left her a message because there was a message book as well. But very embarrassingly, I posed very cringily next to the standee, and then I like sent it to all my friends, and they were like, "Oh, we thought you really meant Ai-chan, not just the cover cutout." But it was really cute. It was really fun. I totally recommend it for anyone just in that area, or if you're just a very big Ai-chan fan like me, because it was fun. And I like wrote a whole essay in the message book. So if you go there and you want to look at it, feel free.
Nice. So yeah, it's almost to the end of it. And yes, the announcement we have is we're going to be possibly starting to translate slowly the third and last leading show of Haichan, which is Manon. Each of us, again, we're going to
Yay!
work on an act, and hopefully we will be able to deliver it soon because Aichan's
Yes.
birthday is soon. So maybe as the
Mhm.
final question, I'm not sure. Do you want to give a pre birthday message, even though this is
Oh my
possibly
God.
too early, yeah, to end the podcast here?
Oh my God. Yeah. So Aisha's birthday is August 23rd, but I it's so this is so embarrassing. Like I'm so embarrassed of talking about Aichan sometimes that like I don't even want to write her a fan letter because I'm like she's gonna think I'm so embarrassing. But I guess if I really had to say something to Aichan about her birthday, it's just like I hope it can just be another great year of her enjoying herself after working so hard in Takarazuka. And her just, realizing that she's made such a positive impact on my life that I feel like words can't even describe just like how thankful I am and how much happier I am because I became her fan. So yeah, I hope she knows that and she has a great year and she does more of the things she wants to do and she doesn't feel pressure to do anything. So yeah, happy early birthday.
Yeah, I'm so sorry if that was too sudden, but I think it's a very good message. So I'm sure we can send
Very
virtual
sweet.
waves to Ai-chan. Hopefully,
Yes, yes.
good vibes after this episode, more announcements,
Hmm.
hopefully. At least,
Maybe.
yeah, hopefully, let's work for
Yes.
that. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on to Hibiscus Cafe Break. We could definitely have another episode again. And I guess I'll see the other audience or on the next episodes. Thank you so much and bye.
Yay, bye.